Hello, Willowbrook family. Today's daily Devo is found in Matthew chapter 21, verses 33 through 46. The passage that you have just read happens in the last week of the life of Jesus on this earth. And he has a lot of things to say and do during this week. Here, he continues teaching in the temple courts. Jewish leaders, along with some common everyday people, are listening to him telling parables. This parable is aimed right at the Jewish leaders, and it's not so subtle. There was a landowner that plants a vineyard, and he rents it out to some vine growers. The landowner is God. The vineyard is the Jewish nation. The vine growers are the Jewish leaders. God had generously established this nation and made it fruitful and protected it and watched out for it. But here's an important point. God expects fruit from his people, from his investment, and one has to give some back. So in the parable, the landowner sends a small group of servants to the vine growers to receive his share of the produce. The servants in this parable are the prophets of God he had sent to the Jewish nation in the past. Well, when the servants arrived, the vine growers took the servants, beat one, killed another, and stoned a third. So God, the landowner, sent a larger group of servants, and they got the same treatment from the Jewish leaders, the vine growers. The leaders did not respect the prophets of God. So God says, I'll send my son. Surely they will respect him. But when the son arrived, they saw an opportunity to steal the whole vineyard for themselves. So they killed the son. Now, Jesus asked the common people around him, what should be done to the vine growers, which are the Jewish leaders? And the people said, they are horrible and should die a horrible death. I would imagine the Jewish leaders hearing this were very quiet because they knew the parable was about them. Then Jesus quotes a passage from Psalms 118. The stone the builders rejected became the chief cornerstone. Now, more than likely, the Jewish leaders knew that this was from a psalm concerning the Messiah. A cornerstone is the first stone set in the construction of a foundation. All other stones will be set in reference to this stone, thus determining the position of the entire structure. More than likely, the common people hearing this are probably thinking, what do these two things have to do with each other? But the Jewish leaders probably saw the connection. When the vine growers killed the son, he's not just the son of a landowner. He's the Messiah from Psalm 118, the Son of God. You know, there's an interesting verse in this passage. It's verse 43. Jesus says, and he who falls on the stone will be broken to pieces, but on whomever it falls, it will scatter him like dust. This verse has so much into it, and we won't really have time to discover it all, but I just want to tell you one thing. Back in those days, there was a saying that went something like this. If you have a clay pot and you drop it on a large stone, it will break. But if you put the clay pot on the ground and you drop a large stone on it, it will also break. In either case, woe to the pot. One of the things verse 43 is telling us today is that on one hand, if you're apathetic with the things of God, you're not watching him, then one day you're going to stumble over him and it'll break you. But on the other hand, if you're an enemy to God and oppose him, one day the rock of judgment will fall on you and break you. This choice faces all humans today. We can be enemies to God and we'll break. Or we can be apathetic to God and not really having time for him and we'll break. So the question is before us. What do we do with the son of the landowner? What do we do with Jesus? Are we apathetic? Are we enemies? Or do we embrace him? Have a great day in the Lord, Willowbrook.